Hello Tashkent, London, Tokyo, or just wherever you are. Welcome to the 4th edition of CROSSTALK, the program where we bridge ideas and minds across countries and cultures. I'm Kamil Yakubov, your host, and today we'll be diving into the world of architecture, innovation, and education. In our studio, we have very special guest, Sheyma Chalishkan, a name synonymous with architecture brilliance and academic excellence. Sheyma is a senior lecturer at the Architecture Department of Top University of Economics and Technology in Tashkent, where she is shaping the future of architecture with her innovative teaching methods and groundbreaking research. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Hello. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for coming. Sheyma, what is the educational philosophy of the architecture program at Top University in Tashkent and how it reflects the unique needs of the region?
I think in order to answer that question, I need to tell you a bit about the whole journey about TOBE2 Tashkent. TOBE2 Tashkent was established during the pandemic time, 2020, but it was, of course, the Tashkent version of it. Our main university is located in Ankara, Turkey, and it was established in 2003, if I'm not being wrong. Since then, actually, that university in Turkey is quite influential in terms of architecture, also in other departments, in other fields as well. But for architecture, it's also very significant and influential university, one of the most influential universities for Turkey as well. And during the pandemic times, both of our presidents, Mr. Şevket Mirziyoyev and Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, agreed on a cultural exchange, and they wanted to establish a Turkish university in Uzbekistan. So that is the, our journey of opening a Turkish university in Uzbekistan. And before us, there was no example of it. I know that there are other, international universities in Uzbekistan. But for our case, it was more of the cultural exchange of Turkish side and Uzbek side, and actually that's the reason why I'm here. They invited me to teach here for that manner. And our first mission, we can say that it's taking whatever we were doing in Turkey and in the architecture department and our 3 other departments as well. We have 4 different departments in English language, which are e-commerce, international entrepreneurship, and for the architectural faculty, we have architecture and interior design. And for both, like all of these departments, the mission of our university was to take the curriculum and take the education that we were handling, that's working as a charm in Turkey, to implement in Tashkent. So that's why they called us to be here, and I was working there. So now I'm here since 2021. Helping and coordinating and teaching in the architecture department.
Great. And so how many kind of classes do you have under your...
Under my supervisor? I'm more of I started more of a coordinator, because when I first came here, I was the only one in the architecture department. My job was to establish the department. So when I first came here, it was I was mostly coordinating, and I only had a couple of classes. And now it's getting more and more. I now have 4 different classes, like 4 periods of classes.
Yes.
I handle the basic design course, and I also handle architectural studio, which is a bit more advanced version of the basic design.
Okay.
Basic design is the first step of teaching the students about design and the creative process of building something out of nothing.
Wow.
And that is actually, I think, the most challenging course that any architect can teach.
And the most interesting one?
I don't know. It's definitely rewiring the students' minds, because
yes.
When they first came, they they are fresh out of high school, and their minds are a bit rigid and strict, and departments like architecture and design and art, they need a bit more of a flexibility. That's what we're trying to teach in the basic design courses.
This is very good. And how do you incorporate both Turkish and Uzbek architectural traditions and innovations into your curriculum and teaching methods? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because obviously what we are doing is an international approach. So we are of course here to teach what we know from Turkey, but also we have to be aware that this is a country with lots of great culture and heritage. So obviously Uzbekistan has a strong Soviet heritage, and that culture does not go away easily.
Yes.
And but you know, if I'm being honest, the construction industry is now getting more and more global each day. So if you look at all the constructions happening in Tashkent right now, you can see that most of the construction companies are foreign companies, mostly Turkish. So that maybe we can talk about it later. That it's they're hiring from Turkey, and most of the workers are not Uzbek, like Turkish workers and all. So it's getting more global and global. We want to, of course, we adapt our curriculum. For example, we have in the architectural history class, we usually teach in Turkey the Ottoman architecture and those periods, but here we try to prioritize the Uzbek history of architecture. That's what we are trying to implement and try to be more local oriented.
Thank you. And as architecture evolves globally, as you said, how does your university in Tashkent stay current with international trends while maintaining the local relevance? You already said that you also refer to our Uzbek local historical architecture. What are the some examples or practical things that you do in this direction?
Well, of course, our face is towards the whole world. When we are you know, giving the education to our students, our main job is not to just compete in Uzbekistan, but to compete with the world. I think the university in Turkey does it very well. You know, our graduates are all around the world, including myself in Uzbekistan. So we want the same thing for fresh graduates in a close future. In order to manage that, of course, our curriculum is totally looking at what's happening around the world.
Yes.
You may know a couple of programs about generic programs of AutoCAD, 3D Max. We teach those things, of course, but we don't stop there. We want to, we're not trying to teach everything in a perfect sense, but we want the students to have some sort of a knowledge and some sort of, you know, they should hear at least these terms and concepts of what's happening in the world. So, for example, we're not just teaching the basic modeling tools, but we are also focusing on some tools called like visual codings. Rhino Grasshopper is quite trendy right now. It's also quite useful. Parametric design, computational design, and all these tools, all these approaches of architecture that is currently happening in the world, we're focusing on that. Also, for example, once we, not just once, but a couple of semesters ago, we tried to handle a class with VR glasses that's happening at the same time in Turkey and in Uzbekistan.
Wow.
So we had a couple of VR glasses, and in Turkey, my dear professor there, they also with their students used the VR glasses, and we were in this virtual environment
together.
Yeah, together, and there was this project that we were trying to build with our hands and stuff. So
that's interesting.
Yes, yes. I can say that the technology is not there yet. We need a couple of years for that to be more comfortable and more useful.
Yeah, Rome was not built in a day.
Yes, yes, but you know, even though it's not as efficient and as useful right now, we want our students to have a perspective that is open-minded.
Yes.
And to know, to be open to whatever that can happen.
Talking about the technologies, how about AI?
We have a love-hate relationship with AI. AI has been in the scene of construction industry for quite a while. It can start from, like, you can imagine it. Right now, it's more popular with the Dolly and the Midjourney and those kind of ChatGPT for
for the
for the text-based semantic things. But
the things,
yes, architecture is more visual. So students are using Midjourney a lot, Dolly a lot. We are trying to teach them to use those tools as tools.
Yes, as tools, not just rely on
not the purpose and not rely on themselves too much. But AI in this industry will develop and still currently developing. There are even things that not just visual production, but also AI can draw optimized plans. And it can visually detect the problems and all. It can automatize and optimize the process of drawing and design. I think we should be open for those technologies because 30 years ago architects were drawing everything by hand. And then AutoCAD came, and then Photoshop came, and these things came. I'm sure some people were also against using AutoCAD. So we need to be aware, and we need to use them as tools, not
for the better education.
Yes.
TOB is one of the few international educational institutions here in Tashkent. We're seeing more and more international universities opening here. What are the unique differences of TOB University in Tashkent of other international universities? What do you think?
Yeah, we are. I don't want to, exaggerate, but we are quite different. First of all, we have an education that is that we have 3 semesters. So it's not fall semester, spring semester, and summer vacation. We do not let them have summer vacations. And during the summertime, we also have another semester.
One more semester. Yes.
One more semester, and that semester is not like a summer school. It's not voluntary, or it's not. It's mandatory. Yes, it's part of our education. So I can picture it like this. So when a student enrolls to our university, they study first semester, second semester, and they finish the first year, right? And the third semester, in the summer semester, they are already starting their second year.
Wow.
So when they finish, like in the 1 year period of time, they are already halfway through their second year. So why we're doing this? We're not masochists here. We are trying to give a gap for students to have time for internship. So that internship is quite different and quite intense and a lot compared to other universities. It happens 3 times during their education. So you can say that our education is not just theoretical but also quite practical. So when they're graduating, they have 1 year of job experience. So imagine this: you study 5 semesters and then you go to internship, and that internship is 3.5 months. You come back, study more,
forget it,
and then go back to internship, and then come back and then go again. So it's like you study, you work, you study, you work, and by the end of your graduation, by the end of your whole education, you have 1 year of job experience. And in one of those semesters, we in TOB to Tashkent, we send our students to Turkey to take their education. So it depends on their department, but some of them take this education as they take the classes, they go to the university in Turkey, and they join the classes. And for the architecture and interior architecture departments, they go to the internship.
Cool.
So we send our students to work in the actual firms that do great work in Turkey. Actually, this is our second year sending students. Last year, I sent my first set of interior and architecture departments to Turkey. And I think I shouldn't give names, but one of our architecture students went to this architectural firm that makes the highest buildings in Tashkent. So yes, so it is like these buildings and these constructions are everywhere, shaping Tashkent. And these companies are quite happy that we are sending Uzbek students, because these Uzbek students understands the region, culturally integrated.
Yes.
They speak Russian, they speak
Yes.
Uzbek, they speak English well
yes.
because they're studying with us. So I think my student there, she went to the office and she worked on a couple of projects that are actually, she was in Turkey physically,
Yes.
but she was handling the works that were happening in Tashkent.
In Tashkent, yeah.
So it was quite an influential and important office, so we are happy that we have that kind of a connection. When she came back, she was someone else. She was more confident, and she understood what the industry's necessities are.
Yes.
So we believe that internship is a key part of our education.
Yes, this makes your university unique.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to ask you a follow-up question regarding your classes. And when I visited your university, and I loved the space, I loved the atmosphere, I loved the students, and their eyes were shining. They were really eager to, learn, absorb everything, absorb the knowledge. And I saw them behind their computers. I saw they were working on pretty nice computers there, and I saw their laboratory. They were doing something on gypsum.
Oh, you were there that day?
Yeah.
Yes, that was my class.
Yes. Do you know the ratio of your students, male and female wise? I mean, I saw a lot of girls there.
Yeah.
Seeing girls, so many girls in technical field, female students in technical field, it's quite unusual, and it's really a good indicator as well. So what is the ratio?
Yeah, first years of our university, we had more male students than female, but the next year and the next year it became I think second year it was male dominated, but this year it is female dominated.
Wow.
When I was a student in Turkey, actually it was almost 50-50, and I believe that those biases and judgments are, slowly, thankfully getting behind
fading
us.
away, yeah.
Yes, fading away, because, no difference between us whatsoever. So I think most of my successful students are female. I'm going to be a bit judgmental, and biased here. So for the interior department, first years it was a bit more male dominated. Now it's more female. Yeah. So interior and architecture, now we are populated by strong women.
Cool. Through this program, we also wanted to give that message. Actually, we want to also invite more female role models like you. So looking ahead, what are your aspirations for the architecture department at Tob University, especially in terms of its impact on the regional architectural landscape?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier that for my short time here, I've been here for 2.5 years. I don't, of course, since I'm not speaking Russian, it's a bit of a struggle, but I observed that most of the architectural companies and construction companies are foreigners, and they are hiring, most of them are the Turkish companies are dominating the construction industry in Tashkent and in Uzbekistan. So their professionals are, because they want to have a good communication with their workers, and they want to work with people who they know, I guess. So they hire people from Turkey. So there are lots of engineers, architects coming here from Turkey. I met them on the streets all the time. Yeah. And when I think of that, I feel kind of, I don't feel sad. I like the cultural exchange, but I want the Uzbek people to build their own environment, because people know their place the best, right?
Yes.
So my future hope for, I think our department is doing that in a better way. That
yes.
I want that companies to hire Uzbek architects, because we are offering the Turkish education, and we are becoming almost like a bridge between this education that they are familiar with, working with.
I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah, my hope, my dream, is that I see my students working in shaping the built environment of Tashkent and Uzbekistan, and maybe the world, somewhere in Turkey as well. Because I think I didn't mention that we also teach them languages. So this is for the language channel. We teach them when they come, as you know, they already speak, most of them already speak Russian and Uzbek. And also we are teaching in English, so they speak English as well. So 3 languages, quite a good number.
Yes.
But we also provide for the e-commerce and the international entrepreneurship departments, we teach them the perfect Turkish. We expect them to be C1 level.
Yes.
And we have a great faculty for teaching Turkish as well. And they learn Turkish in a great level, so they can communicate with, they can take classes, and they can work in the Turkish environment. And we also teach not as well, but we also teach. We are in the process of teaching our architects and interior architecture students Turkish as well. So they will be learning at least B1 level of Turkish, and so that they can work if they want in Turkey or in other part of the world. And additionally, we teach another language. Right now, it's German. So when they graduate, it will be 5.
Languages.
Yeah. Not in the perfect sense, but of course.
Yeah, as actually I also wanted to ask you about this one. I mean, do you have language tests before the entering as well?
Maybe I should mention how we accept
yes,
students.
It would be great.
We make exams a couple of times during, I think, June, July, August, and those periods of time. And we make 2 different exams. One is mathematics, but it's more like an IQ test, and we give example questions. The other is English. We recently opened an Uzbek language educated department, which is business. If you're interested in our university, you can, but your English is not good enough, you can check that out. But our English departments require a good level of English. If you have IELTS 5.5, we also accept that. But as you can see, I don't speak Russian or Uzbek, so in order for us to communicate, we use English.
Yes, teaching languages is really important because verbal reasoning, written reasoning, is always essential for people, for professions like in your field in architecture, because they have to do in the future big presentations in front of big public. We salute that.
And for architecture as well, like students need to talk with their bosses, the employers, and
have good communication.
Yes, and for whoever hire them, they need to sell the project, whatever they're doing, so they need to be in good communication.
So you're educating very, very valuable experts regarding the tuition and this internship and workshops and global exposure. You said you will be sending students to do the internships. Is it included in the tuition itself, or is it something extra that they'll have to
so
pay?
far we have sent 2 sets of students. For the successful students, first 2 years we covered all the plane tickets and for the accommodation of the students who went to Turkey, and they stayed in our own dormitory
with Turkish students.
With Turkish students. We have a good campus there, a very good dormitory, almost like a hotel. And they all of our students stayed there, and they were all covered by our university. They were quite successful students, so we want to encourage the success in our university. So in the future, we will also support the successful students, and there is of course a limit of students who we help, but we cover plane tickets and accommodation for the students who are.
It's very important because once you motivate the right person, once he becomes the decision maker, helping others as well.
I should also mention that it's not obligatory to go to Turkey as well, because some of our students and some of their parents are not really comfortable with sending students abroad, which I would recommend highly, because it changes the confidence and the skill mindset of the students highly. But you know, sometimes it's not possible for everyone to go.
Yes, it's their choice.
Yeah, it's their choice.
Yes.
We have great companies in Uzbekistan that do great jobs internationally. So those who do not go to Turkey, they
can get an internship here.
Yes. So the internship is fixed.
Yes, great. As a young, successful female professor in a field that has historically been dominated by male, could you share your journey and the challenges you faced on your path to becoming an architecture professor at Top University?
My journey. You know, I started. When I decided to study architecture, I actually never thought that it was male-dominated. I'm glad that my parents or my environment didn't give me that, you know, stigma to my head. So I'm happy that that was in my mind. So I entered, and then of course when I was studying, there was no difference between us. It became more and more dominant when I started working in the field or like in the industry and the business. So when I was studying during my bachelor's, I was an exchange student. I studied in Portugal, Lisbon for 6 months. And during that time, actually, I experienced the most misogyny or racism, I think. They were asking me about my clothes and my hair, and why am I not, because, you know, Islamic countries and all. So it was a challenge like that. But you know, I think the biggest challenge is that people underestimate your capabilities.
Yes.
And you know, I experienced multiple times that I was in the same hierarchy with my male coworker, and they were, you know, actually I remember one moment that they were gonna pick a coordinator, and I was in the same level with that person next to me, and he was like a tall man that, you know, it looked older than me, which wasn't, like we were in the same ages. And the boss there actually pointed his finger at him and, why don't you become the coordinator? And I was like shocked, because, you know, he didn't know our capabilities. We just met, and he just assumed that he would be better at the job. And thankfully, woman there said that, why aren't we considering Sheyma Hocam? And at the time, the movement supporting woman actually got me the job. And I was good at it. I'm happy that I'm sure they're happy that they picked me as well.
That's a great example.
Yeah, but you know, this is a small example, but you know, it happens occasionally. Yeah. Thankfully, my environment was quite unbiased. Like Tobe to Ankara was my professors, my environment was great. And here as well, when they hired me, they could have think different things, because I look young and things like that. But they invited me with open heart and open arms, and I tried to give back the value that they gave to me.
Yeah. Because you bring value, and they see this. This is why you are where you are now. What advice would you give to young women, especially in Uzbekistan and Turkey, who aspire to pursue a career in architecture or other STEM fields? And how do you see your role in shaping, inspiring the next generation of female scientists and architects?
Oh my, such a strong question. Well, I can start with the advice, I guess. As women, we start with some prejudgments of ourselves. We have strong imposter syndrome, that we question our each move, and we have to also have this tendency to protect ourselves. You know, I might suggest my friends who are interested in the field or any other field in the business, in the professional life, that to break that cycle and to be more fearless in terms of course it will be problems. There was always problems, but being more brave and questioning things that we already know. Because, you know, I feel like in Uzbekistan, because I speak with lots of students, female students and all, and we have sometimes we need to question whatever we learned in prior
Yes,
times.
what we used to.
Yes, what we used to do, but the times are changing. The world is changing, and don't forget that you are valuable to your community.
Yes.
And that might be the only thing.
At this point, I want to thank you, Sheyma. I believe this program was beneficial for viewers. It was a great pleasure to have you here in our studio. I hope you enjoyed the talk as well.
I enjoyed it very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And for our views, it's peace and goodbye.